Everyone's talking about cancel culture, which, I get. But they're always talking about comedians or people that sell hundreds of thousands of books. And no one's mentioning the true victim of cancel culture, the future. Greetings, comrades and psychonauts. Dirt Son of Earth here, coming to you from the acid left. Mark Fisher once said that the image of the 21st century had come to mean having 20th century culture experienced in high definition. So I want to keep that in mind today when we consider Ready Player One, which USA Today calls Willy Wonka meets the Matrix, and the Huffington Post calls the grown-ups Harry Potter. Oh boy. But there's already a lot of really good essays and some really good video essays exploring those ideas. So that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a poem by randomizing this text with a little bit of help from the PlayStation Dreamworld by Alfie Bound. Some of his essays will be linked below as well, as he did specifically touch on Ready Player One in some Guardian articles, which drew him a little bit of ire. So, we're going to start here, and I opened my mouth. What do you think? Fine, right, oh yes. The closest I came to death was playing a game, faithfully recreated a small shop, a command center. Continuing my quest, thank you for listening. I'll show you the photo again. My gratitude was confined to the virtual world in a cave, each recreated with characters understanding that the White House was to eat every single dot. Pac-Man, an unabridged biography, had been this 80s auction for an art artifact called the Catalyst anonymous bid dating back to the Outcomes. The voting process, still very small, was this entertainment feed. It allowed anyone who later became an underwater mermaid to have a rebel yell. The Next Generation t-shirt spinning on the dance floor moved right along. Are you there? Why? I thought we were friends, but I gave up the arcade for a quickly spreading news. My tone was irked, and a soprano began to laugh. Great, where do I start? What's the instructions? Just past the first gate? Something flashy and expensive? Pay me, pay them. Give some shoegaze to the hired lackeys and the keymasters, their 80s music montage servicing the products of 108,000 Monday mornings. Due to my suspicion, I couldn't raise concrete on realized cold dreams. My score had increased to include a copper key, but I vanished alone in a giant night, nothing but a TV screen before me. The captain was my nose, ladylike, and a hairdresser was in on itself. The noisy ground crooked yellowed teeth. Cables snaked out and drove my floppy disk into the cassette player. I typed hello. The magnetic audio hell came out, sounding like her. An unusual guest, right after a bunch of Smurfs laid at my window yelling, "You're famous now. I'm gonna destroy you. You're evil." She grinned. I really look like a filter edit version of myself. It was these stars that did not mention me once 2 years ago in the blog. Okay, I'll come back. Some smart move for a middle town, almost exiting the blocking path, first gate, itching, silver lock of wanting. An invisible force not permitted here. Blaster pistols, you lucky king, lucky you. Oh, we get to fight. I wanted to win, but a stocky female avatar was managing to slowly plow my fields. Defenseless first-level NPCs, villains, monsters. My avatar was defeated. My avatar's eyes slid open. Charles Dickens wanted to tackle some space marathon. It gets complicated before you quietly check out and say, okay, put on the Atari. I want to play a holiday love game, programming for both of us. I don't care if Spielberg directed it. You're a pussy. Fetish Endorians, DVDs, Howard the Duck, War Games. I stood nodding with my approval. A real-life history doesn't shake its closest friends with brown eyes. You see, the U front in front of the TV had this Easter egg. Really, I matched the freakishly second meaning to the system's default checking system. The corporate logo became my only IOU. Every kid with half a brain was a partial announced person. The appearance whenever I got on to going online in school, attending some combat zone didn't permit me childishness. They'd stolen that. Discovered their own Billie Holiday modified exercise bike. I flipped the physical laptop and locked the keyboard. The door creaked open and I knew it was my fault. Most of the time I was just looking for food. The kids in Africa and Asia and North America, they began to beat their Easter eggs like human beings on Earth for some existential speaking Santa Claus. Oh boy, kid, you're a virtual babysitter now. Put on the family ties and tie down your Muppet. I want to be a teenager in Oklahoma City wearing mini skirts and nothing else. Gradually, I became a 1980s hunt. Simulated by thousands of mazes here with a gesture of adventure shipped between hidden children. This investment into my instrument, a few lines around holidays. Hearing the familiar electronic jingle of my rumors, believing to be a dead man's party, my dad was responsible for creating this massive, massive body, along with her whipping the found pleasure in gaming. The jouissance of screenplay allowed bringing together the slowed psychoanalytic emotions of humans contrary to machines. Facebook had begun to write the script of philosophy, psychoanalysis, populating technology. Philosophers inserted their own question into this clear unconscious articulation of dreams disguised as one another, this association of natural game experience, the Zizekian discussion of the classical Freudian television. It's a foggy, unclear, elemental primary concern of galaxies. This libidinal drive of good guys insists that the other explodes in Stardust Valley, in Stardew Valley. It resonates with Donald Trump's fetish. Independent nations becoming workers on a farm, offering conflicts with a farming simulator. I took Grand Theft Auto 5 to the game store and showed my words actually reinforce a playback machine appearing as an able performance of a company's soft capitalist ultimate game. Today, the average browser, furthermore, working between 21st century protectivism, gaming, functioning, I want to play Pokemon, but capitalism desires a new entity, projected between odd, perverted, highly successful, born simultaneously GPS tracking devices. Predictable mobile phone apps between productivity and all that nostalgia. The history of conception and former LucasArts natural design patterns. Perhaps broadly, there was a video game of a certain kind of necessary restraint, while infantile wishes described professors' realizations of repetitious patterns, clicking similarly introductions. The case of the repetition cycle was repetition of symbols. Enabling ideology, because I feel a small example could flower the theme park. The Oasis let you be who you wanted to be exactly. The theme park abstraction, whatever imitative quality of a careful, deliberate number of dogs. My window was 3x3, showcasing the launched enjoyment of a smarter capitalism covering the cracks of data simulators' complex narratives. I experienced it as parody. Rather a validation of awakening, this imaginary boundary was excitable speech. The general conception of General Motors was a General Electric Eastern European nation, so dialectical at making this passive, dissatisfied police existing lives encounter the former colleagues. It shows a kind of pleasure, two worlds, one jouissance. The first involves unregulated pleasure. The second involves maintaining space and time and provoking a 1987 experience with Felix Guarti. Another ideology, or the ideology of the other, speaking as if UFOs were dolphins in this unlikely fucking Nobel Peace Prize. See, I love the radicality of love. Katrona, evidence, Facebook, good morning, human, computer. An educated guy gets angry, but at the same time, singling organizations will no longer be able to absorb the term regarded as ulterior. The gameplay can be seen as a stand-in. I held my book upside down because my breathing became difficult. I considered flying to Pat Benatar and showing her the museum next to my telescope. I never fully explored it before. She was out on my monitor, looking at all the classic 80 tunes that Superman had smiled to himself. Half of the dancers were bold, passing between an honored right, grinned, saying, I only took the contract to send it to my lawyer. $5 million would be a copy, but it didn't appear in that family photo. Like an ordinary American family, who do you think would have won? It's pretty ambitious. I'm a big dreamer. I'm being serious. Do you really think it's that simple? It's only human nature. It's only a forward rather than back. It's only a lack of utopia. It's only Mark Fisher dismissing the peculiar kinds of fear of the future. It's only a wistful backwards glance confronting players of this paradoxical contemplation of work, smoking, taking a break. The structure of Walter Benjamin's game analysis was a dream of subjectivity. Food and drinks can be a generation of ideological determinations of smelling ramen in a Japanese burger shop. It's only my delightful digital objects that are the relationships to these inefficient measures. The London bus system, mobile phones, fulfilling desires via ingress. I developed a habitual workplace dissatisfaction. And that's the truth. Thank you for listening to that. So obviously, not every line in there is a good or great line, but there's some really key ones that stick out to me. I would like to know what sticks out to you. So if there was a line or two that really got your attention and maybe showed that slow cancellation of the future, comment that below. I'd like to see that. Maybe I'll incorporate it into an actual written poem. I also wanted to encourage everyone to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have an Instagram as well as the Acid Left, where we post memes quite often. And you could help support that work by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/acidleft. We have it as little as $3 a month. You can get meme packs, you can get original artwork, exclusive content, and early content, as well as some of the discussions that we'll be having around the Beyond Linguistics reading group, where we take philosophy and theory and turn it into visual art. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.